Welcome back to Deep Dive Discussions, the YouTube channel where we take those trending topics and really get into it.
Yeah.
Today we are diving headfirst into the potential TikTok ban in the US.
Ooh.
It's a story that has absolutely blown up, and by the end of this deep dive, you'll understand exactly why it matters, even if you haven't mastered the Renegade just yet.
Right.
Now, if you're finding this deep dive as fascinating as I think, you will hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get this conversation rolling in the comments.
Yes, please do.
And hey, don't forget to check out that link in the description for ways to support the channel.
Yeah, it really helps us.
It really helps us keep bringing you the good stuff.
It does.
Okay, let's unpack this whole TikTok saga.
Oh. So where do we even begin?
Well, I think it's kind of wild how TikTok went from just like silly dance videos to like a full-blown cultural phenomenon
Right.
in what feels like the blink of an eye.
It does.
We're talking over 1 billion users globally.
Oh, yeah.
And get this, an estimated 150 million right here in the U.S.
So it's become this really powerful engine for trends, launching careers, giving people a platform, and yeah, even shaping social and political discourse.
It's crazy. I feel like every other day there's like a new TikTok sound or challenge taking over the internet,
Oh, for sure.
which is what makes this potential ban so significant, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about potentially silencing a huge chunk of online culture, not
Yeah.
just some dance crazes.
It is a big deal.
So let's start with the big question, national security.
Okay.
What is going on?
Right. So that's really like the core of the government's argument.
Yeah.
The concern is that TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, which is a Chinese company, could be forced by the Chinese government to just hand over user data.
Okay, so this isn't just some like hypothetical fear, right?
No, it's not.
We actually have FBI Director Christopher Wray testifying before Congress,
Yeah.
laying out these concerns about data compromise.
Exactly.
And he's specifically referencing Chinese laws that basically mandate companies to cooperate with intelligence activities if asked.
If asked.
I mean, that's a pretty chilling thought, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that level of access to personal data.
Yeah, it's definitely a valid concern, especially given the tensions between the U.S. and China.
For sure.
And then, there's this added layer of worry about the potential for manipulation.
No.
Some argue that TikTok's algorithm, which is notoriously good at keeping users engaged, scrolling,
Oh, yeah.
could be used to spread misinformation or even influence political opinions.
Right, or target certain demographics with certain information.
Exactly.
But on the other side of the coin, we have the free speech argument.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't banning TikTok a violation of the First Amendment rights of millions of Americans?
That's what a lot of people are saying.
After all, many people use it to express themselves, to connect with others, even make a living.
Right. And TikTok Inc. is pushing back hard on these security claims,
Okay.
calling them hypothetical and lacking evidence.
So what are they saying?
Well, they're emphasizing that they're incorporated and headquartered in California. Their data is stored here in the U.S. with backups in Singapore.
So they're saying, hey, we're an American company operating under American laws.
Exactly.
But is that enough to quell those security fears?
I mean, that's the question.
It is the question.
It's a complex legal battle for sure.
Yeah.
TikTok is challenging the ban in court, arguing that it violates their rights and lacks evidence.
So it's going through the courts.
It is. And get this, even Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch has weighed in,
Oh, wow.
questioning the need for a complete ban
Mm-hmm.
and suggesting less restrictive measures like warning labels.
Warning label.
Like, caution that this app may be addictive
Right.
and potentially subject to data harvesting by a foreign government.
I don't know how effective that would be.
Probably not.
A warning label.
But it does show that there's a debate, even within the highest court, about how to balance these competing interests.
Right.
So it's not just a black and white issue.
No, it's very gray.
Very gray.
And it's not just about abstract principles either.
No.
There are real people whose lives are potentially on the line here. Think about the content creators who've built careers on TikTok.
So many people.
These are people who've poured their time, energy, and creativity into building audiences generating income.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're facing the possibility of losing it all overnight.
Yeah. The economic impact of this ban is a huge factor.
For sure.
We're not just talking about a few viral dance videos disappearing.
Yeah.
The potential financial losses for creators, the hit to advertising revenue, the ripple effects on industries that rely on TikTok for marketing. It's potentially massive.
Yeah, and it brings up this key question.
Yeah.
Is national security worth such a significant economic sacrifice?
Right. Is there a way to balance these things?
Exactly. And where do things stand legally right now, It sounds like there are a lot of moving parts.
There are a lot of moving parts. The legal battle is far from over. TikTok is fighting tooth and nail, and the Supreme Court is grappling with these really thorny legal questions.
Right.
Their decision could have huge implications for how the government can regulate online platforms going forward.
Wow, so this is like a landmark case.
It's a landmark case, no doubt about it.
Okay, so we've got the government with President Biden and FBI Director Wray
Right.
leading the charge, pushing for the ban.
Mm-hmm.
But then we've also got former President Trump, who initially wanted to ban TikTok, now requesting a pause on the ban.
It's interesting.
It seems even the politicians can't agree on this one.
It's a tough one.
It does add another layer of complexity to an already convoluted situation.
It really does.
And of course, you have TikTok itself vehemently denying any security threat, highlighting their efforts to protect user data, their contributions to the American economy, their support for American jobs.
They're doing everything they can.
They're pulling out all the stops to try and stay afloat.
They are.
So it's a real political and legal whirlwind.
It is.
And what about public opinion? Where do people stand on this whole issue?
Well, there isn't a ton of clear data on public opinion yet,
Okay.
but the signals we do have are kind of mixed. So you see like bipartisan support for the ban in Congress, which
Sure.
suggests that the security concerns are resonating with people.
Right.
But then you have vocal opposition from TikTok users, free speech advocates, and even some tech industry leaders
Yeah.
who are warning about the dangers of government overreach and censorship.
Right. So it's really not a simple yes or no situation.
It's not, it's really nuanced.
What's fascinating is that this whole debate actually ties into a much larger conversation about social media and its impact on society.
Yes.
We're seeing a growing movement to regulate social media, especially when it comes to protecting young people.
Oh, absolutely. And this isn't just about TikTok.
No.
It's about a broader societal shift. We're seeing states implement laws to ban young kids from platforms requiring parental consent or demanding stricter content moderation.
Like Florida, for example,
Right.
already has a law banning kids under 14 from social media.
Exactly.
So this TikTok case is really just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. It's forcing us to confront. It's part of a long and complicated history of trying to figure out how to manage the power of the internet,
Yes.
how to balance freedom of expression with concerns about safety and security. It's a tightrope walk,
It is.
and it seems like the stakes are getting higher with each new case.
Absolutely.
So this is a really complex issue with no easy answers.
No easy answers.
But we're going to try to unpack it all here on Deep Dive Discussions.
We are.
And before we go any further, I want to remind our viewers that we're here to explore all sides of this complex issue.
Absolutely.
We're not taking sides. We're not advocating for any particular outcome. Our goal is to provide you with the information and insights you need to form your own opinions.
Exactly. We want to empower you to be informed, engaged citizens in this digital age.
So with that said, let's dive back into the specifics of this case.
Okay, listen.
What are the strongest arguments for and against the ban?
Let's get into it.
What are the legal challenges that are playing out right now? And most importantly, what are the potential consequences of this decision, both for the U.S. and for the world?
Those are all excellent questions, and we're going to tackle them all in this deep dive.
And before we get to the heart of those questions, let's take a quick look back at the history of attempts to regulate social media in the U.S.
Okay. So these past attempts at social media regulation, they provide valuable context for understanding the current debate surrounding TikTok.
They do.
They demonstrate the legal complexities involved in regulating online platforms and the potential for unintended consequences when you try to do that.
So where do we go from here?
Right.
What are the potential ripple effects if the TikTok ban is upheld?
Well, one major concern is that it could set a precedent for increased government regulation of online platforms,
Okay.
potentially leading to restrictions on other platforms deemed to pose national security risks or other perceived threats.
So it could kind of open the floodgates
It could.
for governments to start
Yeah.
cracking down on other platforms they deem risky.
Yeah, exactly. And this could have a chilling effect on free speech and online expression,
Right.
as companies may engage in more aggressive censorship or self-regulation to avoid government intervention.
So we could see a future where online platforms are much more tightly controlled,
Oh, wow.
with governments having more say in what content is allowed and what isn't.
It's a possibility, and it raises important questions about where we draw the line between protecting national security and safeguarding freedom of expression.
Right. It's a very fine line.
It is.
And what about the economic consequences?
Mm.
We touched on this earlier, but it's worth emphasizing again.
Yeah.
Content creators who rely on TikTok for income could lose their livelihoods.
Absolutely.
Advertisers could lose a valuable platform for reaching a large and engaged audience.
It's a huge audience.
The loss of a platform with such a massive user base could have significant ripple effects throughout the digital economy.
It could, and the economic impact of this ban could be enormous. And it's not just limited to TikTok itself. It could affect the broader digital ecosystem, impacting businesses, creators, and consumers alike.
And let's not forget about the international implications.
Right.
This ban could trigger legal challenges under international investment agreements, potentially leading to disputes between governments and technology companies.
Exactly. This case really highlights the interconnectedness of the digital world and the need for international cooperation in navigating these complex challenges of online regulation.
It's a global issue.
It is. What happens in one country can have ripple effects across the globe.
So if we zoom out for a moment and look at the bigger picture, what does this whole situation tell us about the future of social media?
I think it underscores a few key trends. First, we're seeing increasing scrutiny of the power of these platforms and growing concerns about their potential impact on society, from national security to the well-being of young people.
A lot of power. And that scrutiny is leading to more calls for regulation, whether it's from governments, advocacy groups, or even users themselves.
Exactly. People are becoming more aware of the potential downsides of these platforms and are demanding greater accountability and transparency.
But at the same time, there's this strong pushback against government overreach and concerns about censorship.
Absolutely. The debate surrounding TikTok exemplifies this tension. How do we strike the right balance between regulating these platforms to address legitimate concerns while protecting free speech and fostering innovation?
Right.
It's a question we're going to be grappling with for years to come.
It sounds like there are no easy answers.
Not at all. But having these conversations, weighing the different perspectives, and engaging in thoughtful debate is essential if we want to shape a digital future that works for everyone.
Well said. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here on Deep Dive Discussions.
Yes.
We want to provide our viewers with the information and insights they need to form their own opinions and engage in these critical conversations.
Because ultimately, it's up to all of us to decide what kind of digital world we want to live in. We need to be informed, engaged, and ready to participate in shaping the future of the internet.
Couldn't agree more. So let's bring it back to our viewers. What do you think about all of this?
Yeah, let us know.
Do you think the TikTok ban is justified? Is there a better way to address the concerns?
We want to hear from you.
We want to hear from you. Hit us up in the comments, and let's keep this conversation going.
We're all in this together, folks. The decisions made today will shape the digital world of tomorrow.
So let's make those decisions wisely. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this deep dive so we can reach as many people as possible.
Yes, please do.
And remember to check out the link in the description for ways to support the channel and help us continue to bring you awesome content.
Thank you.
We'll be back soon with more deep dives into the issues that matter. Until then, stay curious and stay engaged.
And keep those critical thinking caps on.
This whole situation really highlights the balancing act we have to do in this digital age.
It really...
On one hand, we want to encourage innovation and creativity. The free flow of ideas, that's what makes the internet so powerful.
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, we can't ignore the potential risks, especially when it comes to national security and the well-being of young people.
Of course not.
And that's where the hard questions come in. How much government regulation is too much? How do we protect free speech while also safeguarding against harmful content? Where do we draw the line?
It feels like a constant tug of war, and it's only going to get more intense as technology continues to evolve.
It will, and that's why it's so important to have these conversations, to be aware of the different perspectives and to think critically about the choices we're making as a society.
Because those choices will ultimately shape the future of the internet and, by extension, the future of our world.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to take a quick break.
Okay.
But don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll delve even deeper into the legal challenges, the economic implications, and the potential global fallout of this potential TikTok ban. We'll also explore some of the alternative solutions that have been proposed and get your take on what you think should happen next.
Looking forward to it.
We're just getting started, folks. Stay tuned.
It's fascinating to consider this case in the context of past attempts to regulate social media.
Right. It's not like this debate popped up out of nowhere.
Exactly. The Communications Decency Act of 1996, for example, aimed to regulate indecent content online. While much of it was struck down by the Supreme Court Section 230 of the Act, which grants immunity to online platforms for content posted by their users, has had a lasting impact shaping the legal landscape for social media.
So that section basically shield platforms from liability for what users post, right? But it's been a subject of debate for years, with some arguing it gives platforms too much power and allows harmful content to spread unchecked.
Precisely. And it highlights the ongoing challenge of balancing free speech with other societal interests, like protecting children or preventing the spread of misinformation. It's a tightrope walk, and there's no easy answer.
And then we've got the states getting involved too, right?
Absolutely. We've seen states like Texas and Florida try to pass laws that would prevent social media companies from removing content based on viewpoint discrimination. But those laws have also been challenged in court, highlighting the ongoing tension between state regulation and First Amendment rights.
So it's this constant back and forth, this struggle to find the right balance between protecting free speech and addressing the very real concerns about the potential harms of social media.
Exactly. And the TikTok case really brings all of these issues to the forefront. It's forcing us to confront some fundamental questions about how we govern the internet in a way that's both effective and consistent with our democratic values.
It's a huge challenge, and there are no easy answers. But one thing's for sure, this conversation is far from over.
Agreed. And the decisions we make today will have long-lasting consequences for the future of the internet and for society as a whole.
It really does feel like we're at a crossroads, doesn't it? This whole TikTok situation is forcing us to confront some really fundamental questions about the role of technology in our lives and the balance of power between governments and tech companies.
It absolutely is. And I think that's why this case has captured so much attention. It's not just about a single app. It's about the broader implications for freedom of expression, national security, and the future of the internet as we know it.
And it's not just happening in the US either. We're seeing similar debates and challenges playing out all over the world. Governments are grappling with how to regulate these incredibly powerful platforms, how to protect their citizens from potential harms, and how to do all of that without stifling innovation or encroaching on fundamental freedoms.
It's a complex puzzle with no easy solutions.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most challenging aspects of this debate is that there's no clear consensus on what the right approach is. You have some people who believe that the government needs to step in and regulate these platforms more aggressively, while others argue that any form of government intervention is a slippery slope towards censorship.
Right. It's that classic tension between security and freedom, isn't
Right.
it? And it's not
Yeah.
just a theoretical debate either. There are real-world consequences to these decisions. The outcome of this TikTok case could have a ripple effect across the entire digital landscape, shaping how we use the internet, how we communicate with each other, and how we access information for years to come.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to have these conversations, to engage with these issues, and to make our voices heard. The future of the internet is not predetermined. It's something that we are actively shaping through our choices and actions.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the TikTok ban, I want to leave our viewers with this question. What does the future of social media look like if governments have this level of control?
It's a question worth pondering. Is it a future we want, or are there alternative solutions that can address the concerns without stifling innovation and freedom of expression? These are the questions we need to be asking ourselves as we navigate this complex digital landscape.
Those are some heavy questions, but crucial ones nonetheless, and we want to hear what you think.
Yeah.
Head over to the comment section and share your thoughts. Do you think the TikTok ban is justified? Is there a better way to address the concerns? Let's keep this conversation going.
For sure, we believe that informed and engaged citizens are the key to shaping a better future both online and offline.
Well said. And remember, you can support Deep Dive discussions by checking out the link in the description. We appreciate your help in keeping this channel going.
Yeah, and a huge thank you to everyone for joining us on this deep dive into the potential TikTok ban. We hope you found it insightful and thought-provoking.
If you did, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with your friends.
Yes, please help us spread the word.
We'll be back soon with more deep dives into the issues that matter. Until then, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep those critical thinking caps on.
We'll see you next time on Deep Dive Discussions.